Hello, everybody. Len here. It is 12:15, actually 12:16, and this is the Motivation Manifesto. And David and Chris, I see you guys over there. I'm trying to bring you across. It isn't happening. I don't know why. Try once again, and if it doesn't work, put in the link, the direct link in the chat. If you can, hopefully you can see the chat. Oh, there comes Chris. Let's see if David comes. Get you across here. Put the link back up in the chat again, just in case if you need the link. There's the link. Hello, Chris.
Hey,
And
long time no see.
yeah. Chris, I see you guys over there. I'm trying we're gonna have feedback. There's Bob's computer talking at me. Let me go. Turn down the volume. He's left for a few minutes. There comes Chris. Hang on.
Hi, Len.
Oh, Bob, we're going to have to turn the volume down on one of these, I think, because we're going to have feedback. She just went to the room. Okay. I'm here. So far we have, I'm trying to get David over. Oh, looks like David might be on his way. Maybe. She went to the room. The other way, Bob. About face. Just walked in. David, where are you? Oh, there he is. He's popped back in. David, I assume you can hear me that I'm putting in the chat right now. There's the link in the chat again.
It's not clickable. Oh well, it looks like.
Immediately too, Len.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah, go ahead and turn your sound off. Remember, I think we left off. I know we left off and we're on 7.
Yes, Ray.
We scramble. Like I hear.
Feels us for I have to go to my car to get them.
Get what?
I'll sit here quiet.
So close to each other, that could have something to do with it. We're sitting in the same.
Oh, okay.
Well, desperation is second. Totally in your life, all of a sudden you might find yourself in desperation in a heartbeat. Something could happen.
Try to find a place to plug in on.
So try to find a place to plug in. Like I was for a situation, 1 years old, and my younger daughter came along and put her finger into the spokes. As she was up, and then she stepped down and it chopped the tip of her finger off.
Ooh.
This is about 5 o'clock.
She what?
She chopped the tip of her finger off on the bicycle because she was reaching, and she didn't know the little one was there. She put her finger in, and she stepped down, and it was like a guillotine. It chopped her finger off. It was in a small little room, a small little exercise room that was like real dark. So she came out screaming, crying with her finger like this, bleeding, but the tip of the finger was gone. I said, "Oh my God, what happened?" So my 5-year-old told me what happened. So I went into the room, but the room was dark. There's no light in there, so I had to go get a flashlight. Got a flashlight. I came back and I spoke going around. Now that was a desperate situation. That was a very desperate. So I grabbed the tip of the finger. I went to the freezer. I put it right on a tube or a thing of ice cube tray. I put it right on. Ran it out to the hospital. I mean, just going through red lights. This is like it's 5:30 in the morning. Going through red lights and just going to do everything I could possibly go. I had my wife with me at the time, holding her, and we just ran to the hospital with her finger on an ice cube tray. That was a desperate situation. That was desperate. He had to go real quick, and thankfully everything worked out. The doctor that came in that day, touched the finger. And to this day, you can barely tell. You can barely tell that there was just in her fingernail, but it worked. The guy was he was a master surgeon to be able to reattach the. So we might not be in a desperate situation in our life, but we could be in a desperate situation immediately if something happens, like an emergency happens.
You can go rob a bank or hurt somebody or do anything. You respond to a crisis in a very methodical, problem-solving, managerial way.
Yeah. It was still pretty desperate.
Yeah. But, you know, in the context of breaking integrity, we do things like steal food, for example, if we're hungry, rob a bank if we're broke.
Right. Yeah. That was not didn't fit what we're talking about.
Appropriately to an emergency.
Exactly.
And
we're in a canoe, remember, and we had like 2.5, 3 foot waves coming across the bow because we out crossing this lake at the wrong timing, and literally our safety was we could be in jeopardy. I kept just saying keep on paddling, and eventually I ended up paddling to the shore, but but that was a place of desperation. You know, pardon me?
It wasn't banjo music, was there?
No banjo music.
David, I have the same story, but again, we're not bringing my 3 children and my wife, and we went for a cruise with a friends of ours because we're living here. We went back to Buffalo, went for a nice summer ride on a motorboat. Went way out there. The lake was like ice. I mean, it was like glass. It was so perfect. We went to this place, had lunch, and on the way back, everything changed, like it happened to you, and the boat. And I never felt so helpless in my entire life. Even though the water was warm, it was in the summertime. But I'm thinking about if the boat went down, there's no way I could hold on to my 3 kids. They were like age like. Who can I hold on to? Which one? I'd be fine. I'd be okay with that. But I felt so helpless, and so because we're out, and same thing was happening to you. It's like, oh my God, it was a very, very desperate situation. But there's nothing we could do at that point. Just keep on going.
Well, I have seen, like when I did work at retail, that some of the I don't know I would imagine desperation is people. Other people in the team stealing sales, right? Or you're working with the customer, face to face, and then somehow they kind of squeeze in, and then they end up ringing up your sale. So, wouldn't that be desperation?
That's breaking integrity.
Right.
And I have run into that a number of times. Then I would face up with them, but sometimes they just get away with it because it seemed like the manager also was breaking the integrity. So
yeah,
since it seemed like they could get away with it, but still it was out of integrity.
and a similar story. I was talking to a friend of mine that's in the life insurance field, and just the other night, and he was saying, well, he made a sale. He could have made a bigger sale that the manager wanted him to make that would have gave him a bigger commission, and of course the manager a bigger commission, but it wasn't in the best interest for the client. And the manager was out of integrity, but my friend stayed in integrity. Got to do the right thing. That's what I think. What we're talking about here in this book is just staying in integrity no matter what happens. There's nothing that's that desperate, unless it's an emergency situation. But then we're not breaking integrity at all.
Yeah, well, it also comes down to promises too. What we promise ourselves versus what we promise others. And
Right.
Sometimes when we get in situations where we may have a space where we look more desperate, we could make the wrong decisions. I haven't, but they make a different choice. Because it's a power of choice. So they choose differently. It becomes more for their favor, but it still it ends up being out of integrity.
If you're like dirt poor, you have no money. You live in maybe to something like that. You have no money. Your kids are hungry, and then there's not like a riot breaks out. There's an opportunity to go in someplace and grab food for your kids. Now that's breaking integrity. But what do you do in a situation?
Yeah, I don't. That's a hypothetical that I can't, you know, I've never experienced, so I can't really speak to that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I can only speak to from my experience, and my
Right.
experience has never been there. I'm now, I still I owe money, and I have some financial challenges like a lot of folks too. But but I'm not in like that situation where, you know, so too that are, if I don't get my act together and start getting some income moving, then I'll have to make different choices. Why would I choose to be out of integrity? And that's
Right.
where I think we're the you know, I do have a strong integrity, and I think you have to be if you're going to be successful in business.
Of course.
Nobody's going to, you know, be enrolled in what you are and enjoying part of your team if you don't have integrity. 'Cause they're going to follow those people who that match and mirror them. And if
And
they
plus, yeah,
are integrous and you're integrous, they're going to join with you.
and they're going to see that. They're going to sense
Mhm.
it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep, they know if you're looking for a sale, only because you're looking at from your point of view, not from their point of view.
Is so high. The attrition rate is so high in the business. So many people sign people up out of lack of integrity.
Right, right,
What's in the best interest of the client,
right.
nor are they helping
IM
the client. Hmm?
and IM, you're talking about in internet marketing.
Yeah, a lot of emphasis on getting a sign up. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
but if you do that, you're not building. You're not signing up in relationship.
and I think that's one of the reasons so many people have such a high attrition rate. The people first and taking care of them and training them and doing what the right thing is for the people. I mean, clearly, you know this because you're the one that says it to me all the time. If the people beneath you are making money, they'll stay.
Exactly.
If not,
They won't. You get desperate because then you're trying to bring more people in. It's just kind of just keeps going around. The cycle continues. So just do the right thing from the very beginning, and don't put yourself in that situation. Should be.
what's the next temptation?
Our goodness with an action that makes us small, angry, or hurtful. No good from becoming bitter or violent. So if somebody else becomes aggressive to us, and a good example would be like road rage. Somebody cuts us off or does something and really makes us angry. Sometimes, and it was a time in my younger days when I would have responded or reacted aggressively, and then it just snowballs and everything. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So. I think that's probably one of the most easy to understand ones with the aggression. Or if somebody says something hurtful to you, like you're an idiot. Well, screw you, so you're an idiot. If you want to respond back, and
Yeah,
that's not the way to do it.
but what's happening here? What you're saying, Bob, is that if somebody comes to you very aggressively in a certain way that it might trigger you to something old in your past that you're triggered, and that's what gets into anger. It gets into where then you respond. So either you have a choice to
Choice.
either to get angry or not. And sometimes
Right.
we, depending on our emotional state, we maybe raise our voice a little louder than and they interpret it as being angry and it happens. But and so if you really want to look at this, what in your past that where have you experienced aggression that you need to maybe look at on healing, right?
Well,
Where you
the
need
example,
forgiveness.
he was leaving a yoga studio one time, and the yoga instructor was a real peaceful, passive lady, and and she ran into a little bit of road rage. Somebody cut her off, and then he said he watched her pull up behind the person and was giving a finger and doing all this kind of stuff. So she probably just things in the past that just happened to her in the present, and she wasn't able to make the choice to control it. And you can make that choice. Like I said, in the past, I would have responded negatively. I would have responded aggressively, but I wouldn't anymore. I really not for road rage, because it happens to me, and I just say, let them personal. They'll bother somebody else down the road. 30 seconds later, they'll do it to somebody else.
Allow yourself 10 seconds to think it through before you respond.
Right.
And that works well for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just be quiet. You know, if they continue and you respond, and it's your responsibility, right?
Exactly.
How you want to respond. So the one way to counteract the aggression that gets stirred up is to do rules.
The choice that we make.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a choice. And as long as you can.
Terrible temper.
What, Chris?
I used to have a terrible temper, and I think it stemmed back. My father had a hair trigger temper too. I mean, he'd get violently tempered, and I had a real mouth on me. But until when I started doing holosync, I've told you about holosync before.
Right.
It mellowed.
And his temper.
Oh yeah, his father had broken every bone in his body by the time he was 5 years old.
At some point, we need to break that cycle, don't we?
Yes.
And
it's a choice.
And another thing, it's a matter of energy. Okay, energetically, where are you? Okay, if somebody is at a lower energy and they're coming at you, and you're at a higher energy, a lot of you can be more resistant to it. That high energy. So if you've done your meditation today, you've done you've done your affirmations, you're keeping things positive, and when something comes up that annoys you, but then you say, well, how can I reframe it? Those are all positive ways and tools to keep your energy high. And when your energy is high, when you get then infused with that lower energy level, your resistance is high. You're more tolerant to it, and you're able to not get.
And plus you're not as much because you're not surrounding yourself with those kind of people most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're on the road, and it just happens, and that could happen. But then just respond, like Dave said, just a choice. Just take 10 seconds and do whatever.
Right? Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out.
Exactly. Yeah. Now the next one here is hurt. So this one, what do we? Does anybody know how this one here? Maturity insists we recognize that feeling hurt requires the same feeling as feeling happy. This is taken from what he says here. So how do we resist it? If we're hurt, what do we do? Do we respond back, or I kind of struggle with this one.
Not again with holosync. It sort of has dulled my reaction to things, so I don't get hurt much anymore. But if something really hurts me, I'm usually pretty sarcastic.
You respond sarcasm.
Yeah.
Can be a tool. That can be a helpful tool, I guess, at times.
Well, it's been blowing up.
Yeah. 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 I didn't study this one too much. I like too much on this particular
hurt. You know, it all comes down back to you. You know, to me. And what I've done is, I would get into that quiet moment, and I would say, I invoke this white light, and allow the white light to just completely positive space, and not feel the hurt, and make a different choice, or another choice. You can look at this here from a hurt standpoint. Is what is this showing? I mean, I'm hurt for a reason. What is my body telling me? What is my mind telling me? What is the situation telling me that either correct or do something differently or make a different choice. I mean, so as a milestone to show you whether you're on course or off course, so to speak. All right.
Right. It's what meaning do we assign to it? And here's the last three. I was just reading as you were talking.
Mm-hmm.
Temptation, like this, what you said, of a situation that we alone have given meaning to. We can feel the hurt, but we must release it quickly and never aim at others, and not integrate its darkness into our soul or cast it into another. And again, I think that's what you're saying, David. You're allowing this white light to come in instead.
It's a matter of forgiveness. See,
Right.
what happens is people will lash out, and for whatever reason, and it's their reasons. Okay, they lash out, and when they lash out, you could choose. And sometimes you do get hurt, and that hurt is you're hurting yourself. So you have to forgive yourself for judging yourself for something. And when you do so, you're basically let go and release the hold of the negative power and power to have that positive power in your life.
This situation as well.
Absolutely, because what you do is you don't forgive what they do. You forgive what they're just behaving badly.
Right.
So you forgive. You want to sever the ethereal tie between them and you, so that you can energy space.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's where forgiveness is bringing in the white light. Is just another forgiveness tool. Right. I mean, there's a lot of different tools. I mean, you can write things that hurt you on a piece of paper and allow it to go up to the to heaven, or whatever,
right.
to dissipate. But there's a lot of ways of just being. It can be symbolic about it, and
right.
What forgiveness does is allows you to reclaim your power. Take that power that you reharness in a positive direction right?
Yep, I agree with that. What do you think, Len? Do you have anything to say on that?
I think that I was taking a nap.
I want to against them. No, I'm gonna let it go.
What's that?
You're sitting in a comfortable chair. Okay, now here's the next one right here. Are we done? Are we done with that one? Here, this loyalty, the temptation of loyalty. Now, this would be something. If you've seen somebody that you knew or liked or even a member. Now, the temptation. Listen to Dr. Laura. You're all probably familiar with Dr. Laura Schlesinger, right?
Yeah, I remember her.
And,
I met her once.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
I agreed with most of the things that she had to say. Most of the things she had to say, because she came from a point of integrity, for sure. But sometimes she would say things like, if a child did something wrong, and she said it was your responsibility to turn him into the authorities and blow him in. Now, I think she was going a little bit too far with that, because I don't think it's nice to teach people a lesson and make sure that somebody's going to be held responsible for their actions, but to throw somebody into the system, the law system, where now all of a sudden there's a record for the rest of their life that somebody's going to have to carry. I disagreed with some of the things that she had to say about some of those sort of things like that. I mean, unless it was something that was like major, it was something that was going on all the time, like somebody was like molesting somebody or stealing something, and there was a consistent thing. Of course you'd want to turn them into the authorities in a situation like that, but for something like a one-time offense, to turn your 15-year-old kid into the authorities, now he's got a record they might have to carry for forever. I disagree with that. I disagree with that one.
I probably wouldn't do that unless he murdered somebody or was a pedophile.
Or I mean, something major. Exactly. If it was something major, you would have to do that. But I remember she talked about it, like, well, make sure you call the authorities on him unless. And I said, no, found that rap. unless you really have to do that. You don't throw somebody into the whole legal court system and then let them carry it the rest of their life, put them on probation, and that whole. You just don't want to go there unless you really have to.
The system has changed the time that you could probably call the local cop and he'd come over and sit down and have a chit chat with a kid. We see so much just stupid, and yes, we see good cops too, but we see these days of people overreacting, and they scare me.
The lady, same story you just mentioned. She called 911 because she wanted the cops to teach her son a lesson on that. But she did it because she didn't know what else to do. Anyways, they came and the one cop he arrested her, threw her in jail. Put the kid in like foster home or whatever. Took the kid away from her. It's like, and here she was trying to do something good. She was trying to teach a lesson. She went about it the wrong way, but she didn't mean to hurt anybody. But they took the kid away from her, threw her butt in jail. It's a little abuse of power right there, Yeah, that's why I wouldn't trust the authorities, the legal system, to take care of a situation that I should be taking care of myself.
Right.
Never do that.
My kid went down the road of drugs, and he was pretty bad for a while. But I would have never turned him in, and he pulled out of it. But if I had turned him in, he'd never be working for Lockheed.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah, they can't overcome that record. They can't overcome that. That's going to be there for the rest of their life. Exactly. They can. People can. People can improve. They can change their lives. I agree with that. You don't want to label them with something that now it's there forever. It's a label.
Right.
We've all done dumb things, but you don't want to be labeled a loser. If you can help it.
Okay. Well, this thing is like what comes to my mind, like when I was in the corporate space. There's a term called groupthink, right? And so you get involved with the group, and you end up have loyalty with the group, and you start following their practices. And what's happening is, in reality, it could be out of integrity, because or somebody may be lying or saying something that's not right, but you don't want to you don't want to break the bow, so to speak. So you end up going along, and so and continue to do that over time. It seems like there's a loyalty that comes in, and then it affects your character. So I think we need to look into this piece, not to compromise who we are,
right,
and to be able to stand for ourselves, and not get caught up in following somebody that you think you're loyal to, whether it's true or whether it's right or not. You need to still stand in your own right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can your true character.
Yeah.
If you want to be this inspiring leader, you be this inspiring leader, and not and sometimes you're going to ruffle some feathers.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
Well, if you see something that's going wrong, mostly talking about the workforce here. You see something that's going wrong, you got to. It's easier because the client wouldn't know about that, but just do the right thing. Exactly. Yeah. So
we need to have ethical behavior.
Right.
Sometimes outside of these places, some people don't have it. They make different decisions. They make choices of being loyal to someone versus being ethical, and that's why we have lawyers, right? Ourselves, all the time, and we had good character, there shouldn't be a problem.
Right. If you see somebody, you're only going to break integrity. Somebody's only going to break integrity once. You're not going to want to deal with those people. If you see somebody breaking integrity, if they're acting out of that way, we can all make mistakes. We all make bad judgments. But if somebody's acting out of integrity, you're not going to work with those people ever. I will never want to work with people like that. You just stay.
I mean, if they act out once, whatever, then it's a sign that if you're the manager, or you're the leader, You need to have a conversation. You need to start addressing the issue. But if that continues and it becomes a pattern, then you can look at recourse.
Like a whistleblower.
Hmm?
Like a whistleblower. If somebody if you see something going on in a big corporation, something that they're doing wrong, I think it's our responsibility as people of character to bring it to light. If it's not the right thing.
Well, here's people would and even though the manager's doing something not in the best practice, they would follow that manager of what she's doing, and instead of saying, hey, this is not right, I don't want. Like, for example, let's say somebody speaks badly in front of a customer, right? You're out on the sales floor. You don't want to be yelling there on the sales floor. You say, hey, can I speak with you? Go to the back room and have a private conversation. But sometimes people won't do that. They start acting out right there. That's where you have to have the integrity, and so the loyalty.
It's a tough one. It is sometimes it's a gray area. It is.
But it all comes down. I think it all comes down to do not compromise yourself. Be true to yourself first and foremost, And if you do become loyal to someone else, make sure you're loyal.
Just choose to be that person of integrity, and then you don't get out of integrity. Those are the kind of people you're going to be attracting yourself to you. Do be have, or be do have. What's that? Be do have, right, Len? Be that person, and then you're going to be attracting more of this. And then don't have integrity, and they're not even going to attempt it. There's no way, because I know Len wouldn't go for that crap. I'm not going to go there. That's what's important. This one is the temptation. And this one, I think, area that I highlighted here says the secret to seeking power with integrity is to stop imagining that when we finally have it, we will suddenly change. The evil person will only become more evil with greater power. The kind person, kinder. The loving, more loving. The generous, more generous. So power is not bad. It's what we do with it. If you're going to be evil, you're going to be more evil. Like I was talking to Len about that last night. Len, you're upside down. Did you drop it? I remember working as they would become foremen. They would be almost for a week. They would become the boss. They wear they put their white suit on. It was like a white outhouse, and all of a sudden they became a-holes in the biggest way imaginable. They were just like meaner than a regular boss ever would, because they had this power for a week. And then a week later, they're back in the workforce just like us guys, doing the regular old manual work things. It's like, wow, how things changed just like that when they put their white suit on. It was like amazing. So, but last night, Len, integrity.
Many examples do bad things.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that are roadblocks to success, because we think power is evil because we see so much evil in the world.
I don't think so, Chris. Just like what he just said right there. The kind become kinder. The mean become meaner. The loving more love. It certainly shouldn't be.
Unless you've got that power, you don't know how you're going to be.
Well,
I mean, I know what he says, but there's a lot of evil within power out there.
But they were evil before they had the power.
We know that.
Did you? I posted I shared something yesterday on Facebook, and you probably might have seen this. It was on NBC Nightly News. A CEO of a company was making $1 million a year, and then he gave a conference to all of his employees, and he said from within a 3-year period, he was going to cut down salary and make sure that every person there were making like $35,000 was going to make $70,000 a year. Every employee for the company. I don't know what company it was, but I've got it on my wall. I'll share it in the Motivation Manifesto group. It's an amazing.
That's awesome.
It's only a 40-second video, but it's amazing. I said, wow. So here's a guy who said he felt kind of guilty because he's making $1 million a year. The majority of the employees are making like $35,000. So he says I'm gonna cut back my own salary so everybody here can make $70,000 a year. It's like, so there's a kind person in heart. So he's gonna make sure that he's gonna spread that around. Power doesn't have to be bad. Power can be good. Same thing with money. Money can be. Look at the good that you can do with money. The charities that you can contribute to. The elephants you can save, right?
Yep.
And there's so many great things you can do if you have money, as opposed to not having it and being in a desperate situation.
The underlining motive here is the ego, and sometimes the ego can be used for good or for bad. So when people get back, they end up not be the most positive, and that's what I think what he's talking about here is that okay, it's okay to have an ego, but you want to you don't like what was it? What Wayne Dyer talked about, edging God out, right? Ego, edging out yourself to have that truth, and it all comes back down to character again.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Who we are, and so if we have a big ego and we want to save the elephants, that's great, and we have the money and we can promote.
Go with the right intent, like.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I think the temptation is choosing the right intention, choosing the right way you want to manifest.
Well, let me close this out. I'll just read the last chapter where it says action becomes character, and then we can move on to the next one for next week. But it says our actions are creating a character that will stand tall or shrink into the darkness of regret. To be wise and virtuous humans, the 7 temptations of impatience, disappointment, desperation, aggression, hurt, loyalty, and power. Opportunities to be small and catty people. It would be easy to give up on ourselves and our dreams. Poorly, but that's not our path. Freedom and victory belong to those who remain strong and true despite. And again, that's how we choose to become. And that's what it is.
Personal choice.
Yeah.
We make it every day.
Yeah.
Choice is the point of power.
What you said, the point of power.
Choice is the point of power. And with that choice, those positive choices, and this is something moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's true. And we could, might all of a sudden see somebody like leave their wallet laying there, and you might go, maybe that temptation was there before I'm going to reach in and grab a couple $100 bills out of that wallet. So yeah, we have to be that person that we want to be.
And that's what it's all about.
Yep, exactly. Guys, next week then we have declaration number 7 is we shall amplify love. And is there anything more we want to do with these temptations before we knock it off for the day? Because we're like 5 over at this point. Anything we want to add?
No, I think we're good.
I'm extremely able to stay here for the entire time today.
Yeah.
No more.
I didn't get. Well, what happened? I moved my computer back to my office here. Same computer, same screen. But when I plugged in my webcam into the thing, it said we had updates. I had to update it. So I think my webcam, because it only hit. So I think it was just my webcam needed to be updated. So I think I'm good. So webinar, you have a webinar later on tonight, Len, right?
Profit with Len tonight. We're doing videos.
Okay.
Basic video.
Great. Then I'll see you all next week. See you down or you see Len tonight.